Nephi and just what you've seen from him over your time with
him. Yeah, how cool is that, right? I mean, he's such a great young man. He came in here as an undrafted free agent, and all he did was went to work, whether that was on special teams or whether that was on defense. And he came out every day with a great attitude, and he improved, and he just kept flashing on film, whether it was on defense or on special teams. And it was one of those where he was going to prove to us that we needed to play him. And then he got his opportunity last year, and he played really well on special teams for us, and really was a shame to see him get injured. I can remember it, and I remember going into the locker room after the game was over, and almost being in tears for him because he's a great young man. You'd want him as your son, or you'd want your daughter to date him. Like, I'm so proud of him. I really am, and so it's awesome. Congratulations to him.
What did you see in his rehabilitation process as far as just the work he put in?
Yeah, a lot of that goes unseen, to be honest with you. Right. He was out here on the grass while we were inside practicing as a team, right? Or he was in the training room while we were doing other things. But he was always around every day. He was in every special teams meeting. He was always involved in talking with the guys, and that's just the type of person he is. And so I didn't get to see a lot of what he did, but I know he worked his tail off, and that's why he was able to get back. And I'm happy for him. I'm excited we got him back because he makes us a better team.
You talked about kind of advocating for himself to go to California with you all. Was that something that you saw and that you got to kind of, I don't know, just the want to be with the team? Did that stand out to you?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. That's who he is. He wants to be around his teammates, and he wanted to have the opportunity to be out there and practice and get better and be around everything. And so, to me, it was a no-brainer decision to bring him out there. You want him around. You really do. You want him around your guys because he has that type of impact on and off the field. So.
Kind of a technical kickoff question.
Yes.
With the new format, obviously there's a lot of different ways the kickers can execute a kick,
mm-hmm.
right? I think in the third quarter, maybe fourth quarter, Blake kind of hit like a knuckleball of the middle versus, maybe something. Like, how do you call those? Like, is it something he sees on the field? He's like, I'm going to kick it this way. Is that a call from the sideline? How do you make those decisions?
No, I think there's a combination of reasons of why you would do stuff like that, and it goes back to studying the film and getting an idea. And we had talked about that and executing that in the week. Cleveland had a couple balls that were on the ground throughout the season, and they struggled to field them. And but that is something that we talked about, and maybe when he takes the field there, we're kind of giving an idea of what we're thinking. There's also a risk involved, because if you don't get it into the landing zone, they're getting the ball in the 40, and you don't want the offense starting on the 40 either. So, but it's definitely a weapon that you can use at times.
Is it kind of like a pitcher with a changeup? Like, you don't want to throw the same pitch every time, but then when it's advantageous, you have that. Is that something where if you kick that knuckleball kick every time, they get used to it?
Yeah, I think they can change their alignments, right, of where the returners are to be able to try to field that, or how their front line is lined up, of what type of return we think we may be getting from them. So we may want to put the ball in a different location based off of the type of returns that we're going to get, because we always want to try to get as many free guys to the returner as we can.
How have you all kind of handled the return job since Sheed went down? It seems like you kind of shuffled through a number of guys, or you feel like you found something that works?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys in the building that we feel comfortable with or have that returner history in their background. And, I think each is different, right? The punt return, the kick return is different there. And so when Jermaine was in there, I thought he did a good job. I thought Dante came in and he did a really good job last week. I think we have a couple options with those guys. You also have Taysom, you also have Mims, you have Jamal Williams. We have some other guys on the kick return. Depending on who you're playing is who you may use. Some teams are going to make you return it. Some teams are going to kick touchbacks. Some teams may have a tip on what direction they're kicking it to, so we can control who we want to get the ball in whose hands. But those guys come to work, and that's one of the things that we do every day after practice. On Wednesdays, all the punt returners are catching. On Thursdays, this is Thursday for me in football world, the punt returner and kick returners are getting their catches in. So it's something that those guys constantly work on. And fortunately for us, I think we have a good amount of options.
Darren's mentioned this a number of times throughout the season, talking about like the new rules, thinking that like once the calendar turns to late November, December, you're going to start to see maybe more opportunities. You guys are going to play a couple cold weather games in December.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, look, from us, from a kickoff standpoint, we're going to give everybody plenty of opportunities. Right, exactly. It's something that we take great pride in is kicking the ball off and covering, and our players love it and they enjoy it. And, I think that sets a mentality of our team. We're going to force other teams to execute, and every yard matters in this league. So if we can tackle someone inside the 30-yard line instead of hitting a touchback where they get on 30, every yard matters. And then from a kick return standpoint, some outdoor games or some wind and those sorts of deals, I look forward to the challenge. Hopefully we do get a couple more opportunities to be able to return some. And kickers nowadays are so good, unless it's really a strong wind. If they want to hit a touchback, majority of them can put it into the end zone. And if they put it far enough into the end zone, you're not going to bring it out and try to make a play that now you get yourself tackled inside the 25 just to be stubborn. So the situation has to be right and the kick has to be right. But we look forward to opportunities to return the ball every chance we get.
The field position game, I know, is one that is important in every game, but isn't
Yep.
something that's often talked about outside of teams and things like that. Just
Sure.
The general public. So last week, if I recall correctly, Cleveland didn't start a drive at better than their own 30. I know there were some turnovers that contributed as well, but how much is that a part of the game plan? How much is that factor in your change based on different teams?
Look, I think it factors in a lot. I think that's something that we talk about as a coaching staff of how we're going to win each game, because each game's different, right? So who are you playing and how are you going to win that game? And field position is always a big factor in there, right? So we talk about that. We come up with how we're going to win each game, and then we'll discuss that with our team, and when Riz gets up in front of the team and says, this is how we're going to win the Rams game and go 1-0 this week. And, field position and how we do that is important. It's on kickoffs. It's on kickoff returns. It's in the punt game of making good decisions by the returns of fielding the ball when we need to, not letting it be on the ground. It's on the punter of locating the ball where we needed to and trying to eliminate returns. So all that comes into play. It's penalty-free football on special teams. That's a huge deal, So the more that you get the opportunity to return balls, right, there's also a chance that a penalty comes. So we try to educate. We show our guys penalties from every week, and we educate them and try to just explain why we don't want to do that and teach them the proper techniques to get it done. And on vice versa, the more kicks that we make teams return against us gives us a better chance of forcing them into a penalty. All set? All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Yep, happy Thanksgiving, okay?